Today we are presenting to you our 4-week skill training program. Throughout the video we'll discuss theories that follow on with motor control and learning and how these theories have allowed us, along with other individuals, to complete skill sets such as tennis, forehand and backhand.
Natahlia has no past experience of tennis. She has only watched her idols play at the Australian Open. By knowing this, we can assume that she is in the cognitive stage of learning. This is the first of the 3 stages. Schmidt and Lee, 2005, have stated that the problem which needs to be solved in the cognitive stage is what to do. So acquiring information about tennis forehand and backhand is vital, as one cannot perform a shot without seeing it or listening to how it should be done.
Due to Natahlia having seen these shots performed, she has the knowledge of what is required but doesn't know how to, nor the correct placement of hands in regard to the racket. So Natahlia will be listening to Stephanie, her coach, in what to do. While she is listening, she will process this information and attempt to cognitively understand the requirements and constraints of these 2 motor skills.
Verbal instruction is how we all go to coach at first. This is what gives us movement, a name and direction. So throughout this stage, instruction, guidance, slow motion drills and augmented feedback is a highly effective coaching method. Completing part practice is important to get a smooth run through of the swing required for the forehand and backhand. There will be many errors at this stage as it is trial and error. It will allow Natahlia to get a feeling of what is right and wrong.
Measurements of performance and learning, qualitative description. The participants' timing and quality of movement all improved as we started her off with part practice, gradually moving towards hole so that she was able to get a feel of the correct timing for a swing. At the start, Natahlia swung too early, but by week 4 she was able to hit the ball at hip height. The quality of movement still needs to be improved as she needs to get the racket back earlier so that her swing is not as rushed to hit it at hip height. Aiming cross court appeared easier for Natahlia as she was able to get more into the court than when she was aiming down the line.
So for quantitative information, for Natahlia, her pre-test, she only got 3 out of 10 balls in when she was standing still and 1 out of 10 when she was on the run for the ball. Post-test, she improved with 8 out of 10 when she was standing still and 7 out of 10 when she was running for the ball. We also did a retention test 2 weeks after the program where when she was standing still she got 7 out of 10 and when she was running for the ball she got 5 out of 10. This shows that the athlete improved over the 4-week period. However, as soon as the program ended, the accuracy of her shots decreased. It is still evident that she was able to retain the information she was taught over the 4 weeks, as they were much better than her pre-test results.
Expected progression of the learner. Due to the participant never having played tennis nor playing any sports similar, this helped as she was having no influence of proactive transfer. Progress predicted. Her post results will be 5 to 6 shots higher in both standing still and running for the ball. Progression of skill occurred as with every class she added a little bit more into the basic skill, so therefore she was able to progress at a slow pace amongst the entire 4-week program.
Natahlia is a visual learner, so instructions were presented with a demonstration as well as verbal cues. So for a forehand, for the grip of the racket, we used a shake hand position. It is the most comfortable for new learners and it generates the most power. It's easy to learn for beginners and it only requires a small grip change if they are going to do a volley or a backhand. We're going to bring the racket towards the back of the fence and dropping the racket head towards the ground. Let the ball bounce once and on incline swing the racket up to the body, catching it out in front with the non-dominant hand.
Now going into the backhand, we'll have 2 hands on the racket with the dominant hand on the bottom and the non-dominant hand on top. Bottom hand will be guiding the stroke with the dominant producing the power. We will then bring the racket towards the back fence on the backswing, dropping the racket head towards the ground. Then letting the ball bounce once, or we shall wait until the ball reaches hip height. On incline, swing the racket up across the body, hitting the ball.
For the program structure, we will train 3 days a week. We'll train every Monday, Thursday and Sunday for a 1-hour session each. On week 1, day 1, we'll do part practice, where we'll break the skill up into parts. We'll start with the racket back and low for both forehand and backhand, and let the ball bounce up to hip height, and she will swing at the ball on the spot. Day 2, she will start with the racket back once again, nice and low, and she'll let the ball bounce once, and she'll just be swinging out the ball at hip height, which is part practice once again. Day 3 will be part practice, where she will start in the ready position, which is both hands on the racket out in front, and she will swing the racket towards the back fence, and then once the ball has reached hip height, she will swing forward.
Week 4, day 1, we'll do hold practice, having the participants start in the ready position with both hands on the racket out in front of her. We'll throw the ball further away from her and getting her to run into it. We'll have her swing the racket down towards the back fence and swinging at the ball after one bounce. Day 2 is still hold practice, having the participant in the ready position again. We'll have the ball thrown away a little bit further this time, making sure she runs in more closer to the ball. We'll have her swing the racket down towards the fence and hitting the ball after one bounce. Day 3 will be slightly different. We'll have the participant in the ready position with both hands on the racket out in front, making sure her knees are bent and she's on her toes. We'll have her return a serve this time, but following the same rules with swinging the racket down towards the back fence and hitting the ball after one bounce.
Engaging and motivating the learner. Using the sandwich approach, we complimented the learner, then followed by constructive criticism, followed by another compliment. An example was when the coach would say, "That was a great shot. Next time, stop before you swing, but great moving," to keep the positive energy so the learner can stay motivated. The coach motivated Natahlia by counting how many times she got it in inside the court in a row, and when she would come back for the next session, she would always be switched on trying to improve after each lesson. After each class, they would write down how many shots she got in and what she could improve on for the next class. Natahlia set goals before every single class that she would try and aim to meet to keep her motivated. And in order to increase engagement, we started and ended the class with a game to keep the participant interested.
After the 4-week period, it was noticed that verbal cues such as ready position, shake hands, and visual cues were vital for Natahlia. The visual cues included pointing the racket at the back fence, aiming for the sky, and ball at hip height. This was more noticeable in the retention test, as she wasn't listening or looking for these cues due to not practicing for